Good evening. I ask everyone to stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the July 26th Board of Aldermen meetings. I now call this meeting to order. I would ask the city clerk to do a roll call.
Alderman Even. Here. Alderman Holman. Here. Alderman Hughes. Here. Alderman Perot.
Here.
And Alderman Whitmire.
Here.
I have Alderman Allen, Mortland, and Weezahan as absent. Mayor Ream is presiding, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Minutes from the July 12th meeting. I seek a motion, second to approve.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or amendment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you. I ask the city clerk, is there anyone from our citizens that wishes to address the board at this time?
No one has filled out a speaker sheet. So unless somebody makes themselves known now, I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you. At this point then, I would recognize the board's opportunity to provide any reports. Alderman Whitmire.
Thank you, Mayor. So Planning and Zoning Commission met on July 21st. Can you hear me okay, Bob? Yep. On July 21st, we'll meet again on August 18th. And without objection from this board, I am going to ask the Planning and Zoning Commission, with the support of city staff, to consider our city code in two areas. One being in temporary storage units, and the other is roadway entrance gates. The former primarily because, to a great extent, there's new technology in the marketplace today with covered storage units that didn't exist when our code was written. And I've had some concerns expressed by those being used for long periods of time. And the second matter is actually related to, we've had extensive conversations around gates and planning and zoning the last couple of meetings and in this body. And it probably makes sense just to take a look and see if it's what we want it to be.
Thank you. Generally, I would think that if somebody's doing construction on their house and need a pod for a short period of time, that'd be reasonable, but I would think that long-term pods for months at a time being stored on someone's grounds in town and country is probably not a reasonable thing to do. So that's reasonable to look at. And the whole issue of fences and how open they are and how far back they are, if we can visit that issue, that'd be very reasonable. Any other reports or communications? Okay, thank you. Mr. Shelton, do you have a report?
One item, Mayor, members of the board, the question came up at the last meeting from Alderman Weezahan regarding Town Square and the role of the Parks and Trails Commission. I did discuss with Ms. Nixon today, and we will actually be recommending before the second reading of your ordinance tonight, bill number 2130, some language to actually clarify the role of Parks and Trails as it relates to Town Square. So very timely discussion.
Thank you. All right, on to unfinished business, bill number 2123. And without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2123 is sponsored by Alderman Even and Weezahan. It's an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a driveway gate located at 1926 South Mason Road in the city of Town and Country.
Before I seek a motion to approve in second, I want to make a comment that I am gratified that suggestion that was made in terms of safety on the road, in terms of moving some landscape rocks, actually very large landscape rocks, that it would improve safety on that road if those were moved away from the edge of the road. And the homeowner has done that. And I would just say that I absolutely appreciate that. When someone gets a suggestion, it seems reasonable and they follow up on it. I was, like I said, I'm happy to say that I find that kind of a refreshing approach. And to thank the homeowner for doing that, absolutely. Having said that, I seek a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Any discussion or amendment?
Yes, I move to amend the bill to add the addition of condition H to read as follows: the location of the gate shall be at least 30 feet from the edge of the pavement.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
Mayor, we need a second on that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
On the amendment,
Yes.
second.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment?
I just have a statement regarding it. I appreciate city staff and our public safety department taking the time to research the information that we requested at our previous meeting. And I think this probably helps support the condition that Alderman Even is bringing forward tonight. So we appreciate that intel, and I support the member forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, relative to the amendment, all in favor, say aye.
I'll approach the amendment, right?
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Actually, Mayor, if I do have a question, I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm missing my timing here. So two things. One, I just wanted to point out that planning and zoning did have a significant conversation with this matter, talking about its presence, its position, and the design of the fence. They ultimately asked for a more open fence design, which was adopted by the owner. So I just wanted to get that on the record. And then secondly, I just wanted to follow up regarding the distance increase that we're putting on this one, if that has been discussed with the homeowner and what their reaction was.
My understanding is that they are aware of it and are amenable to it.
Maybe just Spencer can.
Certainly, I relayed the requests to the applicant. They were open to it and accommodating and having an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that was certainly my impression at the last meeting, so thank you for verifying that. All right, at this point, I'd ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Even?
Aye.
Alderman Perot?
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire?
Aye.
Alderman Holman?
Aye.
And Alderman Hughes?
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously as amended and becomes ordinance number 4437.
Thank you very much. Number two, bill number 2124, without objection. Will the city clerk read this bill for the second time?
Bill number 2124 is sponsored by Alderman Holman and Hughes. It's an ordinance approving the amended final site development plan for Delmar Dayspring Baptist Church, located at 1001 Municipal Center Drive, with conditions to be complied with and authorizing certification of the amended final site development plan.
I seek a motion to approve in a second.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or amendment? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Hughes?
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire?
Aye.
Alderman Even?
Aye.
Alderman Holman?
Aye.
And Alderman Perot.
Aye.
The bill carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4438.
Thank you. Number three, bill number 2125, without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2125 is sponsored by Alderman Holman and Hughes. It's an ordinance approving a conditional use and authorizing a conditional use permit for an accessory structure, a pavilion located at 1001 Municipal Center Drive in the city of Town and Country.
I seek a motion to approve in a second.
So moved. Second.
And I believe Alderman Holman has an amendment.
I do, Mayor. I'd like to add two conditions as my amendment. The first being condition G, which is a noise permit issued by the city will be required for any sound amplification utilized in conjunction with the pavilion on a per occurrence basis. That's condition G. And then I'd also like to add condition H, which is the 5 required green giant arborvitaes shall be located on the west side of the pavilion. My glasses are on.
Thank you. Any discussion on that?
We need a second on that
Oh,
first.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay. Need seconds. Any discussion on the amendment?
And these conditions were discussed with the pastor and agreed upon prior to tonight's meeting, and also shared with the residents adjacent to this property on Riviera.
Thank you. Relative to the amendment, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire,
Aye.
and Alderman Even.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously as amended and becomes ordinance number 4439.
Thank you. Number 4, bill number 2126, the board as a whole. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2126 is an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 405, the zoning regulations, and Chapter 410, the subdivision regulations of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by amending Section 405.080, definitions, Section 405.336.h, recommended tree list, and Section 410.200.a.16, landscaping, regarding the prohibition of invasive plant species installation.
Thank you. I seek a motion to approve the second.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion or amendment? I would ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Whitmire,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
and Alderman Holman.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4440.
Thank you. Number 5, bill number 2127, the board as a whole. Without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2127 is an ordinance amending Title 6, Chapter 600, alcoholic beverages of the Municipal Code of the City of Town and Country regarding liquor licenses.
Thank you. And I seek a motion to approve in a second. Approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. And I believe Alderman Whitmire is moved to consider a substitute bill.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move to accept substitute bill number 2127 for consideration.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
And should we,
Barring any discussion on the substitute itself, you can take a voice vote on the motion to consider the substitute.
all in favor of adopting the substitute, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Mayor, I'll just note for the record that that substitute was distributed in the packet and on the table. So everything that the public received did have that substitute language included in it.
Thank you.
May I just ask for clarification? I'm sorry, I apologize if I missed this. And I know we voted and approved it. Can I ask or no?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, all right.
Please.
So the substitute language, in our previous packet, it implied that there would be substitute language. And so this might have been my mistake. Did that substitute language come from our city attorney or from an alderman?
The city attorney and staff.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you. That's how I understood it, but I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other, yes,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just so that there's no confusion on the part of the public, it might be appropriate for us to indicate that the substitute language was to be very specific around alcohol sales at certain times on Sundays, especially on Sunday mornings, and it also incorporates certain verbiage around sale by the drink, alcohol for consumption off premises. Some of these things were related to some recent legislation that occurred in the state, at the state level.
any other discussion? I'd ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Mayor, Alderman Perot has an amendment to offer.
Oh, apologize, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this particular substitute bill, section 600.090, Part A, I would like to include the following language at the end of that section. Nothing contained herein shall be interpreted as prohibiting a license from the licensee from having outside music or entertainment if said licensee has received a conditional use permit permitting such use in accordance with the provisions of section 405.687 of the city municipal code, as the same may be amended from time to time.
I mean, I can live with that. Any discussion among the board members?
The purpose for my recommendation is to clear up that we have restaurants in the city limits that have music being played outside in their outside dining areas. And so the conditional use permit and this language were somewhat in contradiction with each other, and this just clears up that contradiction, allowing for the restaurants to have music outside.
I'm good with it.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, is there a second to that motion on the floor?
There is not at this time. We need a second.
I will second it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'd ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
This would just be on the amendment, so we can take it as a voice vote if you'd like.
Okay, on the amendment, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We can move to the roll call vote. Thank you.
Alderman Whitmire,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
Alderman Hughes,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
and Alderman Perot.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously as substituted and amended and becomes ordinance number 4441.
Thank you. Next, moving on to new business. Bill number 2128. I need sponsors for the bill, but I would rather, without objection, I would have the city clerk read the bill for the first time first before I ask for that.
Bill number 2128 is an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 125, Boards, Commissions, and Committees of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by the deletion of Article 7 regarding the Community Art and Culture Commission.
I would ask for a sponsor. Thank you. Bill number 2128 is continued to the meeting of Monday, August 9th, 2021, for the second meeting and consideration. Bill number 2129, without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2129 is an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 125, Boards, Commissions, and Committees of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by the deletion of Article 3 regarding the Conservation Commission and the amendment of Section 125.270 regarding beautification program duties.
I would seek a sponsor for the bill.
I'll sponsor.
Alderman Perot, thank you. And bill number, go ahead, Uncle. Yes, please.
I just wanted to share with the board that I will be bringing forward an amendment to this bill at our next meeting, and I will ask that the board consider moving all the language as it pertains to our beautification program to the duties and responsibilities of the Public Works Commission. And so if anyone would like to speak to that, please call city staff or myself prior to that next meeting. And then that will trigger another amendment on this.
Okay, I got it, yeah. No, I think that'd be reasonable. Certainly support that. Bill number 2129 is continued to the meeting on Monday, August 9th, 2021, for the second reading and consideration. Bill number 2130, without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2130 is an ordinance amending Title I, Chapter 125, Boards, Commissions, and Committees of the Town and Country Municipal Code, specifically by the amendment of Article 6 regarding the Parks and Trails Commission.
I seek a sponsor for the bill.
I'd like to sponsor that.
Thank you.
And then this will, with the amendment of Bill 2129, this will trigger an amendment to Bill 2123.
Perfect, thank you. Bill number 21-30 is continued to the meeting of Monday, August 9th, 2021 for the second reading and consideration. Bill number 2131, without objection to the city clerk read the bill for the first time.
Bill number 2131 is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Winning Technologies for the purchase and administration of a data backup and disaster recovery device.
Thank you. I would seek a sponsor for the bill. Thank you. Alderman Farrell. I call for a motion and second to approve the bill as originally written.
So moved.
Mayor,
Yes.
before we do that, we need to suspend the agenda rules.
Okay.
So Ms. Foster, Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
So I move that we suspend the agenda rules in order to read the bill for the second time and take it up for consideration in the interest of timing and continuity of services.
Second.
We'll do that on a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I consent to the suspension. Without objection, would the city clerk read the bill for the second time?
Bill number 2131 is an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Winning Technologies for the purchase and administration of a data backup and disaster recovery device.
Seek a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or amendment? I'd ask the city clerk for a roll call vote.
Alderman Whitmire,
Aye.
Alderman Perot,
Aye.
Alderman Even,
Aye.
Alderman Holman,
Aye.
and Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
The bill passes unanimously and becomes ordinance number 4442.
Thank you. The warrant list is in the amount of $164,040.30. Seek a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Second. And let me open that up for discussion or amendment. Alderman Whitman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I was wondering if we could have someone from staff speak to the cost of irrigation at Town Square and where we stand there. I know last year for a while, we were wondering whether the lake was leaking, and we've made some other changes. Just wondered if we could talk about that a little bit.
Certainly, as has been discussed in the past, there was an auto refill for the pond using water. I verified with Ms. Nixon, the auto refill is not on. So the $2,000 plus June bill you had for irrigation at Town Square was just to keep all the plant life alive. Things started to turn brown, so they needed to increase the amount of irrigation. You will possibly recall in the budget, we did budget significantly higher for water usage at Town Square, and we're in line, actually a little bit less than where we were last year on that irrigation. They have cut back a little bit now with the rain, and we will continue to monitor that irrigation use at Town Square.
Thank you.
Any other?
I have a question for
Sure.
the city administrator, just as a point of reference. This is 6 acres of land?
Correct. The
Well, I
city
guess-
portion, correct, right.
Yeah, but is it 6 acres, not 100% grass, so I guess. I was just trying to I was gonna ask for a comparative of where else in our city do we run irrigation on 6 acres, so it's probably
According
less
to the
about
staff,
taking the pavement and the pond.
Town Square has the most irrigation zones compared to any other city property.
What would be our, is this second in line? to
I
that?
would imagine
Yeah.
that City Hall would come next.
And how large is this, does anyone know? Okay, all right. We're just as a reference point, if you want to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion or amendment on the warrant list? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll open it to other. I want one quick thing for Mr. Shelton, is that the work on Vallis Road for the new sewer line with the American Water Company seems to have kind of come to a grinding halt. And I was wondering if we could check with them to see, my understanding is they haven't done anything in 2 weeks. There's been no work in 2 weeks. And if we could check into getting that moving again. It's enough of a nuisance when they're working, and just sit and watch it idle is somewhat frustrating.
Right. I did ask the staff to go out today and take a look, Mayor,
Okay.
and they were actually at Crystal View in West Point today working.
Okay.
And we have inquired to Missouri American to attempt to keep us updated, but we believe that they work in zones and they don't just move continuously. They have certain projects they need to complete, and then they move on, and some of the staff saw them up in the area of Manchester Road last week. So they complete work here, move on, come back, depending on the duties they need to accomplish. But they were in town today.
That's reasonable to a degree, but we need to kind of bird dog that and make sure they keep moving forward on that.
Sure.
Thank you for looking into it, I appreciate it. Would certainly like to open it up to any other members up here for anything they wish to discuss. Yes.
I'd like to ask Chief Cavens, due to the current health mandate that was enforced starting today, how Town and Country Police Department plans to enforce the health mandate?
From the onset of the pandemic back in 2020, it was quickly determined that law enforcement has no authority in enforcing the mask mandate. However, your Town and Country Police Department, when we do receive complaints from a private business, we respond like we would do any other citizen complaint or business complaint that we receive. And our goals when we arrive is education and hopefully obtain voluntary compliance on the subject of wearing the mask, or wearing our subjects wearing a mask, or whatever the situation may be. In and of itself, again, the mask mandate solely is not enforceable by local law enforcement. However, should that escalate to a situation such as a trespass complaint where somebody doesn't leave a local business when the business owner or that representative asks the subject to put the mask on or leave, or causes somewhat of disturbance to where it does escalate into a criminal matter, then we would conduct an appropriate investigation. But again, in and of itself, the mask mandate is not enforceable by local law enforcement. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
So it's up to the actual business itself to reach out to the police department to help if someone chooses not to comply with the health mandate?
Not necessarily. It takes a resident, another customer could call and complain. We would respond, try to investigate the matter to see how that particular business owner or representative would want to handle it. In such cases, if it would be a flagrant violation on a part of a restaurant, we again would respond in the hopes of, or with the objectives of educating, obtaining a voluntary compliance. Should again, it would be a flagrant violation and there'd be no compliance whatsoever, that on-duty supervisor is instructed to submit a memo through his or her chain of command, and then we forward that on to the St. Louis County Department of Public Health for their investigatory reasons. Does that help?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
During the previous mask mandate, do you recall how many calls your department received for compliance?
We have received calls, Alderman Holman. I don't know how many we've received. I will tell you this, that none have come across my desk to the point that we've had to forward any to the Department of Public Health.
Okay.
That doesn't mean, again,
Right.
that a private citizen or somebody else has not done that. But following our orders that I've set forth, none have come across my desk to be forwarded to the Department of Public Health.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Thank you, Chief. Hearing no other discussion, I seek a motion. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Two more things that I would request. One, from Police Chief Capens and his department. If potentially at our next meeting, we could have a mid-year report on criminal activity in our area. I get a lot of questions about that, about the porch pirates, car thefts and whatnot. So if we could have an update on where we are through July, and it doesn't have to be
Okay.
tonight, but if you want to wait till the next meeting, since I'm just putting it out there to you tonight.
Yeah, I was just gonna let you know, that is forthcoming. It's already being worked on my part. We just had to make sure all the data has been entered and I give you all the correct information.
Great, thank you. And then, as we move closer into the 2022 budget season, just curious to know if we intend on having a work session as requested at a retreat. I requested that we get together for a work session for the budget process, and I have more thoughts around that because our city clerk expressed concerns. And I think when we get into this type of conversation, Mayor, it could really be focused on our 2022 approved budget, what went right, what went wrong, what do we want to see more of, so not to cross the line on numbers as the department, the staff works on 2022. Is your concern that there's a process and a sequencing of working through the 22?
The concern we talked about at the retreat that I brought up was just that if we're going to have a public hearing on the budget, we need to be sure that we're not debating the merits of the budget when it's in draft form, because that's not fair to the public. We need to do the public hearing first or work in more vague terms and ideas before that process is completed.
And so that's why I guess I put out there, maybe we look back, we have a reflection
Right.
on 2021, and then so we don't really cross those lines.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable thing. I'll work with Mr.
Jeff.
Shelton and we will get that done.
Okay,
And
thank
with
you.
Jeff.
Yeah.
We will have that session, absolutely.
All right,
I
thank
think it's
you.
a great idea.
I believe that was my suggestion when we were at the retreat, is that we do begin that process so we can look at our funding and make sure that we're moving forward as appropriate. So.
Thank you. Seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah.